Mikhail Baryshnikov captivated ballet audiences from the late 1960s through the early 1980s. In his prime, no male dancer was his equal, and his work has stood the test of time. What makes Baryshnikov the greatest male dancer of all time? In this video, I analyzed two of my favorite Baryshnikov solos to demonstrate what separates him from other dancers. His memorable performances were defined by his great technical command, confidence, and dynamic stage presence, characteristics that are on full display in these solos. The first Baryshnikov variation is from 1983 at 35 years of age in his American Ballet Theater Don Quixote, a work he staged for the company when he was its artistic director. This is Basil's Act 2 solo that has been abandoned in the Kevin Mackenzie version. It is a playful solo filled with wine drinking as he is in competition with the Matador, played by Patrick Giselle, who passed away in 1987. Take a look at the full 1-minute solo, and I will be back with commentary. The first step is spectacular as Baryshnikov draws gasps from the Metropolitan Opera House crowd. This is one of the most ingenious and interesting steps that I have seen. It demonstrates Baryshnikov's creativity and ability to link several movements in clever ways to create something that in real time makes even experienced ballet followers say, "Wow, what is it?" Thanks to dancer Jeremy Naismith for guidance on this step. This is an adaptation of a step commonly seen in the Paquita male solo, a cabriole devant en tournant, or turning cabriole to the front. Here is Isaac Hernandez doing the step in Paquita. Here's a split screen of Hernandez going off his left leg, assembling his legs and landing on the same left leg. The starting and ending positions are the same as in the simple cabriole devant, but with a turn thrown in. Note Hernandez's arms as they go overhead and to second position on landing for balance. The mechanics of Baryshnikov's step are similar to Hernandez, but he lands not with his leg in front, but to the side. Upon landing on his left leg, Baryshnikov quickly and forcefully goes to a lunge in fourth position, rather than keeping his right leg in the air. Baryshnikov overturns the basic step on his rapid descent to fourth position to facilitate the continuation of the segment. While Hernandez goes forward into a chassé in preparation for his next step, Baryshnikov does a half turn to arabesque. The phrasing with his arms and quick movements while on the ground make this segment compelling. In the air, he is able to rotate more by creating momentum with his arms. Rather than the standard arm position as in the Hernandez version, Baryshnikov, after starting out with arms overhead, sweeps his left arm aggressively across his body while his right arm follows, providing momentum allowing him to quickly go to a fourth position. Noteworthy is how high he is off the ground. Here's a still showing that his feet are well above the waist of the dancer in the background. Also note his rigid upper body that moves in tandem with his hips. This is a stellar and unique step that illustrates Baryshnikov's towering jumps and impeccable technique. After hamming it up with the village woman, he steals a glass of wine before launching into a double assemblée diagonal with great pizzazz. He covers a lot of ground on his preparation for the leap and during his jump, which ends with a lunge into an informal arabesque. Noteworthy is his wonderful timing and flow, punctuated by his arabesque. A bit tipsy, he reloads on wine upstage before a thrilling double tour to arabesque turn series. Baryshnikov chassés into a double tour in retroré, followed by double arabesque turns. His turns are in very low arabesque, which facilitates great speed, almost out of control in a good sort of way, augmented by his phrasing on his coupe to battement to the side, with arms in second to finish the series. Baryshnikov was known for his great leaping skills, but he was also able to move with lightning quickness, as shown in his rapid tours and turns. His speed and precision make this a stunning segment. He finishes with a standard step for men, a triple pirouette to a double tour to a lunge as he runs out of wine. He remains in character during his playful bow, an exceptional example of his stellar technique filled with comedic touches. Next is Baryshnikov's Act 2 Albrecht solo from the ballet tragedy Giselle from 1977, taped live at the Metropolitan Opera House when he was 29 years of age. This solo was stellar then and has remained a preeminent example of this work even into the early 2000s. Baryshnikov portrays Count Albrecht as he visits Giselle's grave in the forest, and he is sentenced to dance to his death by the Willy Merta. This is one of the finest examples of this solo that I have seen. Here, Baryshnikov's great technique and dramatic timing are on full display. All of his steps are done with great efficiency, with no extraneous motions. He makes this arduous segment look easy, the sign of a great dancer. Take a look at the full 1-minute solo, and I will be back with commentary. The first diagonal is a standard double cabriole Cisson failli done 2 times. This pass is breathtaking, combining Baryshnikov's stellar technique and athleticism, done with great purpose and energy. Where the athleticism comes in is his great height in his jumps, coupled with the substantial space he covers, the entire diagonal of the cavernous Metropolitan Opera stage. Here's a slow-motion clip of his Cisson, which is a jump off of 2 feet, landing on 1 foot. Note the substantial height of his jumps. He looks up, making it seem as if he is in the air for a longer time, a notable characteristic of his leaps. He has exquisite technique with turnout straight legs and pointed feet, making a visually appealing unbroken line of his legs. Next is a slow-motion clip of his double cabriole devant, which is a step with 2 beats to the front. His preparation is a space-eating glissade before his cabriole. He uses his left arm for momentum as he launches into the step, completing 2 small beats. At the peak of his jump, his hips are higher than the nearest Willy as he hits a spectacular diagonal position in the air. As in the Cisson, he looks almost straight up. On landing, his left leg is turned out, important in avoiding a knee injury. His double cabriole in Giselle is a different style than in Don Quixote in 1976. Here he has a much wider separation of his legs. Possibly he wanted to tone down the step in the more serious Giselle, where Albrecht is dancing for his life. Impressive is not only his height, but the ground he covers on his jump. The first X denotes where he takes off. The total distance traveled is substantial, possibly 3 to 4 feet for the 5'5" Baryshnikov. Baryshnikov finishes well past the willies and flowers, around the X off the screen. Most dancers cover much less ground, finishing within the willies line denoted by the second X. Few dancers can cover the entire stage in this pass. Next are several transition steps, a piqué arabesque, followed by a jeté entrelacé, or more informally, a tour jeté with a beat thrown in. After transitions, next is a step that Baryshnikov used often to great effect, commonly referred to as a double revoltade, or more correctly, a double jeté entrelacé. This is a gorgeous step when done well, as Baryshnikov demonstrates. His tendu to second position in preparation for his pirouettes shows off his great proportion and muscular definition with beautiful line. Then 5 pirouettes with his wide arm carriage that narrows after each turn to turns in attitude or a bent leg. As characteristic of his turnout in retiré is very tight and not greatly turned out. Then off to the corner. On the diagonal, he does a double tour en l'air sequence. 2 items to focus on. First, his fifth positions on takeoff and landing are very tight, with feet crossed and close together. A sloppy fifth position has feet open and not close together. This makes it easier to perform the step, but is not visually appealing. Second, note that he does 2 full rotations in the air. His hips and shoulders face the diagonal on takeoff and landing. Some dancers cheat by not completing 2 full rotations. Again, it is easier to complete the step, but not visually appealing. Note Baryshnikov's rigid upper body, which is like a rotating board, as he stretches his arms up in fifth position. Also, he switches feet in the air as he takes off in fifth position with right leg in front, landing with left leg in front, a somewhat tricky maneuver. He finishes with 5 pirouettes to a dramatic single turn a la seconde. He looks straight up on his turn in second for dramatic effect. Even his bow is memorable, as the exhausted Albrecht pleads for his life as he struggles to survive to sunrise. This was a path-breaking solo in the day in terms of technique and athleticism that few current dancers can match 40 years later.